This question is question 5 of paper 1 for A2 Biology 2017. Scientists investigated treatment of a human bladder infection caused by a species of bacterium. This species of bacterium is often resistant to the antibiotics currently used for treatment. They investigated the use of a new antibiotic to treat the bladder infection. The new antibiotic inhibits the bacterial ATP synthase enzyme. Place a tick in the appropriate box next to the equation, which represents the reaction catalyzed by ATP synthase. So if you didn't know the answer to this question, you could pretty much guess it from the wording, because synthase means to make, basically. So ADP, adding inorganic phosphate, is going to make ATP. The next question asks, the new antibiotic is safe to use in humans because it does not inhibit the ATP synthase found in human cells. Test why human ATP synthase is not inhibited and bacterial synthase is inhibited. So what we need to say is that human ATP synthase is different from bacterial ATP synthase. However, we do need to mention that it's the tertiary structure that's different. We could also mention that it's got a different shaped active site, or the fact that the antibiotic can't actually enter the human cells. If you remember, this is one reason why antibiotics are of no use to viruses, because viruses live inside cells. Moving on to the next question, the scientists tested the new antibiotic on mice with the same bladder infection. They divided these mice into 3 groups, C, R and A. Group C was the control group, i.e. it was untreated. Group R was treated with an antibiotic currently used against the bladder infection, and Group A was treated with the new antibiotic. They removed samples from the bladder of these mice after treatment and estimated the total number of bacteria in the bladder, and the results are shown in the graph there. So the question asks, the antibiotics were given to the mice at a dose of 25 milligrams per kilo per day. How much antibiotic would be given to a 30-gram mouse each day? And to show our working, and it was worth 2 marks. Okay, so we don't need the graph for this at all, but what we do need to do is make sure that we're in the same units. The question asks per kilo per day, but the mass is given in grams. So let's just change the grams into kilos. So we get 0.03 kilos. So then what I need to do is, if there's 25 milligrams for 1 kilo, I need to find out how many there would be for 0.3 of a kilo. So I'm going to times 0.03 by 25, and it gives me the answer of 0.75. To make sure my method is correct, I stick some easy numbers in. For instance, if my mouse weighed 0.2 of a kilo, in other words 200 grams, then that would be a fifth. So therefore, if I take a fifth and times it by 25, I would get 5 milligrams. So I can see from that that my calculation, my method works, and therefore my answer is correct. Okay, so from the graph, I read off 2.85 and 1.85. So I need to convert those into proper numbers first. So I use the calculator and work out that 10 to the 2.85 is 708, and 10 to the 1.85 is 17.8. At this stage, I'm just working to 3 sig figs. When I take those away from each other to find the difference, because remember, I'm looking for the percentage difference, I find that the number is actually 690. That represents the difference between the number of cells, the number of bacteria. So to find the percentage difference, I'm just going to do 690 divided by 708, times it by 100, and the answer is 97.4. Now, according to the mark scheme, they would have accepted answers anywhere between 97 and 97.8. And that's because of rounding in various places. However, if you notice from mine, I'm smack bang in the middle of that range. And so working to 3 sig figs in this instance is a safe way to go. Okay, this next and final bit of the question is really quite interesting because only 6% of students managed to achieve all 3 marks. So the scientists suggested that people newly diagnosed with this bladder infection should be treated with both the current antibiotic and the new antibiotic. Explain why scientists made this suggestion. Use information from Figure 2 and your knowledge of evolution of antibiotic resistance in your answer. So this question asks us to explain. And so writing extensive descriptions of the data is not going to get you any marks. When using the information from Figure 2, we're going to say that neither the new or the old antibiotic was able to kill all the bacteria. And using our own knowledge, we're going to say, so any resistant bacteria will reproduce to produce more resistant bacteria. And that's our second mark. And then we're going to explain and say that by using both antibiotics, it's likely to kill all the bacteria, as it's very unlikely that the bacteria will be resistant to both antibiotics. So my top tip for this question is to point out that you can't just say that using both antibiotics will be more effective, because that doesn't begin to explain it. The second thing I'd say is make sure you understand the log scales, why we use them, and how to use it on your calculator. From now on, they are going to appear on the AS and the A2 exam. As always, I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope it's been of use to you, and please do leave me a comment.